You open your banking app late at night, not because a bill is due, not because you're about to buy something, you just check it. And for a second, you do that quiet mental math in your head. Okay, if I keep working another 20 years, if I save a little more, maybe I'll be okay. But then another thought hits you. What if I never actually earn enough to retire comfortably? Because everywhere you look online, retirement sounds impossible unless you have millions saved. And if you're earning something normal, something like $2,800 a month, it feels like the system already decided your future for you. Now here's the uncomfortable truth. Most people don't fail retirement because they don't earn enough. They fail because they misunderstand how retirement actually works. And today I'm going to show you a realistic plan to retire comfortably on just $2,800 a month, not fantasy finance, not millionaire advice, an actual psychological and mathematical framework that works for normal people. My name is Nico, and I spend way too much time thinking about how ordinary incomes can build extraordinary financial stability. If you're someone who feels like retirement is only for rich people, hit subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. Here's the thing. When people hear retirement, they imagine stopping work and magically replacing their entire salary forever. That assumption alone destroys most financial plans because retirement is not about replacing income. It's about replacing expenses. And those are very different numbers. Now look, the average person earning $2,800 per month immediately thinks, I need investments big enough to generate $2,800 forever. But here's what most people don't realize. Your expenses in retirement are usually lower than during working years. No commuting, no work clothes, no daily convenience spending, often no mortgage. Studies from the Bureau of Labor Statistics consistently show retirees spend roughly 20 to 30% less than working households. So suddenly the target changes. Instead of replacing $2,800, you may only need around $2,000 monthly to live comfortably, and that changes everything. This is where it gets interesting, because retirement math isn't magic, it's probability plus behavior. Let's walk through real numbers. There's something called the 4% rule, based on historical market data going back over 100 years, which suggests that if you withdraw 4% annually from a diversified investment portfolio, your money historically lasts 30 years or more. So if you need $2,000 per month, that's $24,000 per year. Divide that by 4%. You get roughly $600,000. Now I know what you're thinking. Okay, Nico, that still sounds impossible. And honestly, that reaction is completely normal because your brain sees a big final number and assumes it requires extreme sacrifice. But retirement success isn't built from giant actions. It's built from boring consistency plus time. Let me show you why. Imagine someone saves $400 per month, not $1,500. Not half their income, just $400. Invested into a broad market index averaging about 7% annual return after inflation, which aligns closely with long-term historical averages. After 30 years, that grows to roughly $490,000. Increased savings slightly over time as income grows, maybe $500 later than $600, and suddenly crossing $600,000 becomes realistic. Not easy, but realistic. Here's what most people don't realize though. The biggest obstacle isn't math, it's psychology. Humans are terrible at valuing future comfort compared to present emotion. Your brain treats future you like a stranger. Buying something today feels real. Retirement feels abstract. So every small spending decision silently votes against your future stability. And this is where people misunderstand the message. This is not about never enjoying life. It's about understanding trade-offs consciously instead of accidentally, because small recurring expenses carry hidden time costs. A $10 daily habit isn't just $10, it's potentially hundreds of thousands of dollars in future compounded value, not because spending is evil, but because compounding is powerful. Now you might be thinking, okay, but what if I start late? This is where the plan becomes practical instead of perfect. Comfortable retirement on $2,800 per month relies on 3 pillars, and almost nobody uses all 3. First, controlled expenses. Second, long-term investing. Third, and this surprises people, partial income continuity. Here's the secret nobody talks about. Retirement today rarely means zero income. Many retirees naturally earn small amounts through part-time work, freelancing, consulting, hobbies, or passion projects. Even earning $500 per month dramatically reduces how much savings you need. Let's redo the math. If expenses are $2,000 monthly and you earn just $500 doing something flexible, your investments only need to produce $1,500 monthly. That lowers required savings from about $600,000 $100,000 to closer to $450,000. That's a massive difference created by a small psychological shift. Instead of "I must stop working forever," the mindset becomes "I design a life where work becomes optional." And oddly enough, people who plan this way feel less financial anxiety decades earlier because the pressure disappears. Now here's another mistake people make. They assume investing requires intelligence or constant monitoring. It doesn't. In fact, overmanaging investments often makes outcomes worse. Research repeatedly shows that simple diversified index investing outperforms most active strategies over long periods. Why? Because consistency beats prediction. You don't need to outsmart markets. You need to stay invested long enough for markets to reward patience. This is where behavior again matters more than knowledge. Most investors don't fail because markets crash. They fail because they panic during crashes. Historically, every major downturn eventually recovered, but emotional decisions locked losses permanently. Here's a metaphor I like. Investing is like planting trees. You don't dig them up every year to check if they're growing. You water them and wait. Time does the heavy lifting. Now let's talk about lifestyle design, the part nobody includes in retirement math. Comfort isn't purely financial. It's environmental. Where you live, how you spend time, and your daily routines determine how far money goes. Someone living intentionally can feel wealthy on $2,000 monthly. Someone chasing status can feel broke on $10,000. Retirement comfort comes less from income level and more from expectation alignment, and this is where it gets psychological again. Many people unknowingly inflate their future lifestyle expectations based on social comparison. They imagine retirement needing luxury rather than stability. But research on happiness consistently shows that autonomy, control over time, matters far more than consumption. So the real retirement goal isn't luxury, it's freedom from financial stress. Now, here's the real plan simplified. You stabilize spending so lifestyle inflation doesn't eat raises. You invest automatically every month so discipline becomes unnecessary. You allow compounding decades to work quietly, and you design a future where small optional income reduces pressure on savings. That combination makes comfortable retirement possible even on modest earnings. And honestly, this is the part I wish more people understood earlier. Financial security rarely comes from dramatic breakthroughs. It comes from removing tiny leaks consistently. Most people are closer than they think. They just don't see progress because compounding feels invisible for years until suddenly it isn't. One day your investments start growing faster than your contributions, and that's when momentum flips. Your money begins working harder than you do, and psychologically, everything changes. You stop feeling behind, you start feeling in control. Now look, if you remember one thing from this video, let it be this: retirement is not reserved for high earners. It's reserved for consistent planners. You don't need perfection, you need direction. Start smaller than you think matters. Automate savings. Invest simply. Control lifestyle creep, and give time the chance to surprise you. Because the uncomfortable truth is this: the future version of you isn't built by one big decision. It's built by thousands of small ones you barely notice today. And the beautiful part? You can start changing that trajectory literally this month. If this video made you rethink retirement, or made it finally feel possible, subscribe to the channel, because we talk about the psychology behind money, not just the numbers. And I want you to comment below what worries you most about retirement right now, because chances are you're not alone, and understanding that is often the first step toward finally feeling financially